Welcome back to The Truth Hurts, where we expose corrupt politicians and lying corporate media. I'm Jake Duesenberg, your host, navigating this complex world of inaccuracies, fake news, and corruption. And we're broadcasting live from Roseville, Minnesota, in the belly of the beast, the liberal zombie apocalypse. But we got problems with the Republicans, too. And discipline starts at home. That's the name of this episode. This episode is brought to you by Alpine Cabinetry in East St. Cloud. And it's also brought to you by Warren Wessel of Warren Wessel Realty. If you're looking for a broker who thinks like you, believes in the same things you believe in, and is damn good at his job, give Warren a call at 612-419-7453. Joining me, as usual, is MAGA Jesse. How you doing there, buddy?
I'm doing good, and you got it right. There is a lot of MNGOP corruption to expose today. There's going to be an emergency MNGOP executive committee meeting about Otter Tail County, and unfortunately, that's not the only example of fraud we have within the MNGOP where they are pushing fake conventions and whatnot, because Representative John Kosnick, RINO Kosnick, touts a fake endorsement during a fake endorsing convention. We also have news about the CFB case being dismissed against Action for Liberty, finally, and a KSTP poll to show that Trump is going to be able to win Minnesota in 2024.
This is a serious episode, and look, he wears his George Santos shirt. I just realized that.
Yep.
I can't believe that.
Well, that's the thing. George Santos, he had a more conservative voting record than Tom Emmer, Michelle Fishbach, Pete Stauber,
and he's just as honest.
He's just as honest as them. And, when it comes down to it, he's more conservative than any of the Minnesota delegation. So I'd like them to be a little bit more like George Santos.
Well, reading your comments, let us know where you're watching from, is the lovely Bridget. How you doing, Bridget?
Doing wonderful. We have a lot of people here in the comments. Tucker says, good afternoon. The Great Matter Show says, good afternoon all. Finally get to catch another live show. I wish I could be here all the time. Carla Nelson, the Patriot, says, good afternoon. Mickey Murray says...
I'm sorry. The candidate for Minnesota House, the Patriot, Carla Nelson.
Patriot candidate.
Yep.
Oh,
we
Patriot
gotta have her
candidate.
on the show.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Carla, come on our show. We'll do one with you.
Then Mickey Murray says, it's a good afternoon. Diane Donnelly, hello from Otter Tail.
Hi, Diane.
Gregory 29 says, good afternoon. Well, Jesse's in there. And Carol Hexum, thank you for exposing the truth. Napkin 8, let's get it.
Let's Carol.
See. Tucker throwing in his little must be a hang.
And Ellie Cat, good to see you.
Razzle Dazzle says Jesse with the face palm.
There you go.
Yeah.
And hate Minnesota, Alley Cat. A lot of people.
If you like the show and want to support us, you can go to truthhurtsnews.com. You can like and subscribe on this Rumble channel. Also, make sure if you want to interrupt us at any time or you tell us we're doing a good job, you just hit the Rumble rant, and that helps support the show. Running the dials and doing a good job running the dials, because I threw a curveball at him at the beginning of this show, is none other than Mr. Deep State himself, Dawson. How you doing, Dawson?
It's me. I am doing a lot better than I was last week, and I'm just happy about that.
Yeah, you must have had COVID. Geez, you should get vaccinated and 20 boosters for that. That's a joke. We got
But the CDC changed their rules on that now, too.
Yeah, we got
again.
so many comments here. Hate Minnesota. Hi from Olmsted County. Beth Moy. I mean, look at us. I love it. I love you guys. Best fans in all the media. Now, I got to say that. Of course, I got to say that. But, of course, why wouldn't I say it? I mean, and the fun thing is I get to meet you guys all the time when we do events. And truly, we have the best fans in the business. Although it's going to hurt me if T-Wall and K-Wall aren't joining us today. This is too good of an episode. I'm so excited about this. First off, breaking news. The Minnesota GOP State Executive Committee is meeting tonight. And it's going down at 8:15 at the party headquarters in Edina. By the way, if you want to show up, maybe they'll let you in. If they don't let you in, isn't that crazy? If they say, sorry, this is a secret meeting. Right?
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be crazy if they say that? I think I think we should be able to film the thing, right? Mm-hmm. So, Edina headquarters, you want to go find the address for me just in case people are interested in showing up? 8:15 is late.
Are they normal? Do they normally let people just attend their meetings?
I don't know the answer to that question. I think it could be an open meeting. I know they do some secretive meetings, but that's the thing is you guys need to be transparent here, okay? And in the world of transparency, Action for Liberty did a very good thing. Now, I'm going to just say this. I'm very biased, but I helped the board find the new president for Action for Liberty, and it's a good one. And you like him, too, because you were his legislative assistant at the Capitol, Bridget.
Oh, yeah.
Eric Morrison is not known to be pussyfooting around anything, right? That guy is a strong leader and very strong-willed and willing to show up for people. He's doing awesome stuff. Okay, so he is leading this effort against this crazy unilateral decision that David Hand made. If you don't know the story, and I know a lot of people that are watching know the story, but I'm just going to quickly reiterate it. On caucus night, February 27th, if you're not from Minnesota, we have caucuses. Anyone in a precinct can go to their precinct caucus, show up, and be a part of the party, as long as they can vote by November and they believe in the Republican Party principles. And if you're going as a Democrat Party principles, right? So all these wonderful, conservative, grassroots people from Otter Tail County show up, and the party, and we talked about this in the show last time, kind of run by establishment hacks, the Miracles, Tommy and Harry Miracle, they end up they cause all this chaos and confusion on caucus night in 2 locations, and the people push back, and eventually the chaos ensues to the point where the party just says we're not going to recognize any delegates. So joining us, and he joined us last week, is Nathan Miller, who was one of the guys in Fergus Falls. Are you there, Nathan?
Here I am.
So good to have you back. I mean, you did a good job on Thursday, and I want to stay on top of this story. So are you guys aware up in Otter Tail County about the state exec having a meeting tonight?
Yes. That news has been spreading fast. There's quite a few people who are very interested in the outcome of that meeting.
And you had told me that you were talking to somebody on state exec, and they had said they received 400 some emails already today. Is that correct?
Right. Yeah. I did. I was doing my due diligence and calling and trying to talk to them and give them some information, maybe some things they haven't heard yet, things that don't make it from David Hand or from Otter Tail County BPOU. So I was, and he alluded to that right away, is that, I'm getting plenty of phone calls. I got over 400 emails in the inbox already. So hopefully that, can't imagine that doesn't have some bearing on whether or not they're going to get together. He was very interested in getting to the bottom of it and wanted the truth. So I sent him a bunch of information as well.
Okay, so what are the rumors that are spreading around right now inside their ranks? And obviously all the people in the state executive committee, there's 15 of them, by the way.
Yep.
And we can pull these guys up here on the show. Actually, Dawson, can you pull up the link? Let's see, it's on line 7. You can go to actionforliberty.com/OTC to reinstate the Otter Tail County slate. Because there's a whole slate of delegates, and we assume it's probably 200. We don't have the number.
Oh yeah, at least.
At least 200, okay. So the whole slate of delegates, with a unilateral decision, just like Governor Walz during an emergency powers, David Hand just said we're not going to recognize any delegates from 2024. And then the corrupt move is we're going to go back to 2022. It's like Biden winning an election and going, you know what? I know you guys spoke, but I'm going to go with the 2020 voters. Like, what? You can't do that. It's like bullshit.
Exactly.
All right, so scroll down here real quick, Dawson. These are the state exec members. We got them listed. That I think, obviously, David Hand's not on there. That guy's already made up his mind. He's corrupt as hell. But you got Deputy Chair Donna Bergstrom, the Treasurer Lee Prinkala? By the way, that guy was fired like a year ago, and now he's all of a sudden the treasurer again. It's weird. Mm-hmm. Alex Plekesh, Barb Sutter, Roger Chamberlain, who's the finance chair, Joe Ditto, who's the chair of CD2, Randy Sutter, chair of CD3, Alec Beck, chair of CD5, Bobby Benson, chair of CD6. I think he works for Tom Emmer. Do I have that right?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, yeah.
Tim Miller, Congressional District 7, and Kerry Heinzman, Congressional District 8. Their contact info is there. You can go to actionforliberty.com/OTC. Let them know what you think. That's Otter Tail County, OTC. And they've already heard. You just heard from Nathan, 400 emails, and that was probably hours ago. So they're getting lit up. And I'm not saying that everyone on this list is against Otter Tail County. I think Joe Ditto isn't, right? So I think Tim Miller's probably not. I think there's some people on here that are standing with you guys. And it's, you could reach out to them and they'll let you know, right? But the point is, I think without this, and I really appreciate Mort for sending out this email, big e-blast all across the state. It generally speaking, this stuff happens, this corruption in the party, and no one ever does anything about it. And there you go. Now, someone's doing something about it. And I know it means a lot to the people in Otter Tail County, and I really love you guys because I think you guys represent what the party needs. Grassroots conservatives, MAGA people who believe in liberty, stuff like that, whatever you want to call yourself, MAGA, pro-liberty, conservatives, whatever it is. You guys love America. You want to fix the problems, and you root out the corruption.
You know, Nathan,
Exactly.
Nathan, quick question for you. I'm seeing a comment here from Hate Minnesota that says, today Han is responding to emails stating that the delegates, quote, were not duly elected. What's your response to David Han sending emails saying that?
David Han knows for a fact that they were elected. It's just the ones he didn't want elected were the ones that were elected. That's the problem. The trouble here is that elections were held all across all 91 precincts, and the certification forms, as I'm assuming what he's going to be alluding to, were not handed out. Were not handed out by his minions, Tommy Miracle and Harry Miracle. They refused to hand out those PCRC forms, which is just simply the certification. We had a bunch of grassroots people running around in Fergus Falls precinct areas collecting those exact forms a couple nights later because they knew that that they didn't certify. We figured out that Harry Miracle at the precinct caucus did not take out those forms. They weren't in any packets. We had certain people that did show up and asked for them, and they said, nope, we're not doing that. Don't worry about it. And in Perham, thankfully, Tammy Berry was able to win the permanent convenership, and she was able to get a hold of all of the documents. So we have photos from all the precincts in all 43 in Perham, and every single election held there. We got all of those, and then we have 32 different precincts that have all the delegates and alternates, the chair, the vice chairs, all of that, all those photos from the 48. So we're about 16 short, and I don't know why they wouldn't want to hold them back. I'm guessing that Han and the rest of them, the Miracles and the Otter Tail County BPOU, Vance Bachman and the rest, they don't want to show any documentation of any sort that would prove that a legitimate election happened that night. In 2024 delegates are absolutely the correct ones and the legitimate ones. So they want to go back to 2022 because they know they did not take care of that audit from then, and they're just trying to cover it up. They didn't like the results of the game, so they're trying to change it.
And state statute clearly says they are precinct caucuses, right? They were trying to organize at a larger level. Precinct caucuses, precincts vote on who becomes delegates. Who was David Han to say, oh, sorry, we don't like what it is, and these aren't duly elected? Of course, they're duly elected. Here's the other thing.
Absolutely.
I've been to caucuses, I think, every year since 2012 when I first caucused for Ron Paul. I think I've made every single one. I'm trying to check in my head real quick, but I don't think I've missed one. So we all understand the it's volunteers. Paperwork is not tight and clean. It just happens. But everyone finds a way to allow delegates. So him coming into this and saying, oh, yeah, this isn't done properly is the most bullshit thing anyone who's ever been to a caucus or convened a caucus has ever said. By the way, we have a special guest coming on set right now, Nathan. We have a disgruntled conservative voter here. Come on in, Dale here. Dale, what? Wait a second, Dale. What is on your back there? Let's. He's a conservative voter. Oh, we got to go up. Don't show his butt there, Dawson. There we go. Conservative voter, and he's stabbed in the back with a rhino knife. Look at that. Dale, have a seat. Welcome to the show. First time. The big guy behind the scenes. How's it fit? Does it work with that knife in your back?
Oh, yeah.
Well, it hurts. I'll tell you, getting stabbed by the rhinos hurts. For all the conservatives out there, you know what I'm talking about. So
Oh, yeah.
I usually get a chuckle when I wear this fairly famous jacket. And usually my response is yeah, it's sad but true. Stabbed in the back by a rhino.
Right.
And they go, yep, that's what's happening.
Nathan, do you happen to know what it's like to get stabbed in the back by a rhino? Ever have happened to you?
Well, like I told a few folks here, there's more than one way to skin a rhino out here. We just got to figure that out. So if they're going to stab us, we got to skin them out and get rid of them out of the party. That's for sure.
All right. So
listening?
here's my here's the rumor that's going around right now, Nathan. They say, this is apparently from Han, there's no way we could even reinstate the delegates. We don't know who the delegates are. There's no form that shows the delegates. That is literally what's being spread around at state executive. Can you dispel that or dispatch that crazy talking point?
Yeah. So, can you guys still hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, we can. We've got, like I said, I've got all those forms. I don't have a copy of the form on me, but I've got all these delegate forms that have been filled out by an elected at their precinct caucus. That we've got over 200 plus delegates that were elected there, and so we're locked and loaded and ready to show that to anybody who needs to see it.
And, because we are a news organization and have to do the journalistic duty, we did reach out to Nathan ahead of time. He did make these available to us. He's got many different copies, but they did take pictures of the delegate forms. We obviously tell our people, take a snapshot of it. So that's a blatant lie. There's proof right here. They've got it that they did actually signify delegates. And when you look at this form, actually, it's the 2024 Precinct Caucus attendee sign-in sheet. And then in there's a checkbox if you're a delegate, alternate candidate, or observer. And then it says mark after elections what happened. And then if it's alternates, they have them ranked. So clear as day right here. They've got proof of it. So whatever they're saying is just complete bullshit, but not that we're shocked by that, right?
Right.
All right. Well, Nathan, I know you're a busy guy, daughters behind you and everything like that.
Yeah.
Keep up the fight. Well, go
This
ahead.
one, but I do have the entire list here. It's kind of glaring and whatnot, but
Yep, it's
I don't
glaring.
know. I sent this entire email list to a few of the state execs just so they know that we have all of that information. Like I said, the 32 in Fergus Falls, and we've got the 43 out of Perham. So I don't know what they're making up there. They're just moving the goalpost every time. So
Exactly.
we're trying to keep them on par and not give them a way out.
Exactly. Oh, keep up the fight. We'll continue having your voice on the show, and thanks for everything you're doing.
Thank you, sir.
Take care, Nathan.
Have a good day.
Read that JCH comment. I
Yeah,
like that.
JCH, I like that one. He said, did every other, oh wait, he has two, but did every other precinct in the state use the correct forms? Seriously?
Yeah, I mean, Dale, you've gone to a ton of
Yes, I
caucuses,
have.
right? I mean, you've seen every form. Literally, if someone writes something on a napkin, as long as it's allocated, in fact, you elect a secretary at your caucus, as long as the will of the people is somewhat documented, the party can come in and figure this stuff out. Mm-hmm. This is just a convenient excuse. I mean, listen, we see right through it. We've seen this stuff a million times, but that, I mean, like, I've literally witnessed the pictures. It's just bullshit. The fake news by David Hann to try to take away the voice of the people. Let's go to some more comments here.
Same guy goes on to say, I'd like to hear the Minnesota GOP say that they will treat every precinct that way, or that didn't use the right form the same way. Mm-hmm. And then Billy22 has a good comment. He said, FJB, let's keep it local FDH.
Oh, yeah.
Brad Ganser says, best jacket ever. And then Napkin 8 says, I saw Dale on Saturday and was disappointed he didn't wear that this year. Guess it's
You didn't
famous.
wear it at your convention?
Not this year, but I'll be wearing it at my CD4 convention.
Where has the jacket been to? You've
It's
taken to
been
Vegas.
Really?
It's been at all the state conventions for the last few years. Rochester, Duluth.
Mm-hmm.
It's been all over.
You know, I took it down to Orlando, Florida for a convention. Young
Mhm.
Americans for Liberty. Walked around there, so it's been to Florida. By the way, it was kind of hot.
Yeah. Well, I've got a summer version that's just it's a leather vest with the same message: conservative voter stabbed in the back by the establishment RINOs.
Right.
Brad
you've
says
been-
we have
oh,
the
go ahead.
scars. Brad Ganser said we have the scars to prove it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Stabbed in the
Brad
back.
certainly does.
Yeah.
Let's go back, pull up this sheet again, Dawson. This is the people on the state exec that I think need to hear from you and where their position is. Obviously, I think we know where corrupt David Hand stands, but Donna Bergstrom, she's a deputy chair. And I'm assuming these are cell phone numbers here. This is, once again, actionforliberty.com/OTC as in Otter Tail County. This is reinstate the slate. Lee Prinkala, Alex Plekish, who's the RNC committee man. Would you retire your nickname for Alex if he votes right way?
Probably not.
In the
but
art of
I'd
in
consider
the art of
it.
compromise,
I'd consider
Jesse.
it. I'd consider it.
You would consider it if he leads the charge. Let's say not just votes right way, but leads the charge.
Oh, if he led the charge, I'd definitely remove the nickname.
And I think the nickname is still
I won't
viable.
call him the nickname right now, but, we'll see how the vote goes. We'll see how the state executive committee goes, and then we'll see where to go from there.
Barb Sutter, who's the RNC committee woman. Roger Chamberlain, the finance chair, former state senator. Joe Ditto, who represents Congressional District 2. Randy Sutter, Congressional District 3. Alec Beck, Congressional District 5. Bobby Benson, Tom Immers. Is he a staff member with Immers' campaign? Or
I know he
Immers?
was. I don't know if he still
Okay.
is. I don't want to make that claim.
All right, Bobby, get on board, buddy. Tim Miller, CD7. Kerry Heintzman, CD8. Now, why are they doing this? That's the question. Why would they go... I mean, Nathan says, yeah, they don't like us, but it's like there's got to be something else here. And there's probably a lot of things. But where this really comes into play is Congresswoman Michelle Fischbach's got a legitimate endorsement challenge. His name is Steve Boyd. We've had him on the show. And if these delegates get in, there's a good chance he has a larger faction of supporters. Because let's be honest, usually when you get an endorsement challenge, it's somebody from the right of the sitting congressman or legislator. And then I don't even know. I can't even keep track of all the races going on. There's a lot of RINOs getting endorsement challenges right now. So maybe there's something in Otter Tail County that's making a difference. Truth Matters says the money.
Yeah.
Jake, you had asked what the address was for the MNGOP headquarters.
Yep,
I see that Mickey Murray had put it in the comments if people want to find it there, but it is 7400 Metro Boulevard, Unit 424, Edina, Minnesota. So what time did you say, Jake, that the executive committee was at?
8:15. I probably just show up at 8.
I see new 2727 said, I believe if you're a state central delegate, you are allowed to observe the meetings. I can't confirm that. I don't know if you know that to be the case or not.
You're a state central delegate there, Dale?
I am.
What you got going on tonight?
I think I'm going to be doing what I can. What can I do?
Yeah.
Good job, Jake. Put him on the spot. His first appearance. All right, interesting stuff. All right, I got to do this news story, okay? Speaking of David Hand and his corruption, let's go right to the Campaign Finance Board because I need a little time to explain the other issue. What's Carol say
Carol
there?
says Michelle Fischbach has her tentacles everywhere.
Yeah, that's what happens with Congress people.
Yeah.
Congresspersons.
Yeah.
How correct I am on that one. All right, so this story is on truthhurtsnews.com. If you've watched the show for a while, we probably told you about the establishment's corrupt scheme to try to take down Action for Liberty. And includes me when I was the president of Action for Liberty, literally trying to throw me in jail. Yeah. Who did this? This is the MNGOP's lawyer. So, when they meet tonight, they're going to probably have a lawyer advising them on the matter. And we can only imagine that lawyer is not going to advise them to reinstate the county delegates. That guy is the dude behind this complaint against Action for Liberty that weaponized the government agency against us. Pull up this story here on Truth Hurts News. You guys can look for yourself. But David Hand enters in the equation, and who knows, he might have funded the thing too. There are some statements on their public finance books that show that they paid the lawyer off right around the time this thing got launched. But anyhow, this is how the corrupt scheme works. They gather intel. There's a chart there, Dust, if you pull down a little bit. They gather intel, find something that they can construe into a complaint that we were violating the law. Then they recruit some kind of like no-namer. In this case, his name was Matt Worden. I think he's in Winona. And to put his name on the complaint. And then they draft this big document. And this is Reed LeBeau that did that. They file it with the Campaign Finance Board. And then it starts a witch hunt against us. They basically weaponize the government. Now, in our case, and there was actually 2 complaints against us at different times, and both have now been dismissed. The staff recommended dropping these charges against us twice, and the Walls-appointed Campaign Finance Board ignored the staff's recommendation, said keep investigating them, which has probably never happened before, right? Certainly not twice to one organization. So I don't know if they were able to get these guys to do that for them, or these guys just personally hate us. But, quite frankly, they don't put Tea Party conservatives on the campaign finance board. When they put Republicans on them, they're establishment hacks. Anyhow, scroll down. Here is the attorney for the state. His name is Rondell LeBeau, or he goes by Reed LeBeau, but I don't know why. His name is Rondell. Apparently that's Rondell. It says it on the complaint against us. So there's Rondell LeBeau for you guys, this weasel. You can also look him up. He actually is a lobbyist up at the Capitol, not lobbying for like gun rights, by the way, for like casinos and Indian affairs and stuff like that, and probably a bunch of other questionable nonprofits and special interest groups. But this is what
don't
this guy
forget,
does.
they tried to pigeonhole Reed LeBeau onto Trump. Rondo, yeah, sure. LeBeau onto Trump, so
That's right.
During the Trump lawsuit where they were trying to remove Trump off of the ballot here in Minnesota, a lot of us Trump supporters were saying, why is the MNGOP the only lawyer that gets to be on this case defending Trump? We obviously knew that, these aren't good faith actors, that they can't be trusted. Trump was able to get his own attorneys added onto it, but who would have known how that lawsuit would have gone if it was just LeBeau representing Trump?
There you go. That's a good point. So Rondell LeBeau, look, this is what he writes in the complaint. Right here, and he says it's essentially, if we are found guilty, knowingly doing it, that it's a felony with imprisonment up to 5 years. So he actually, in his last thing in his complaint, we just took a screenshot of that, says complaint requests that the board refer the matter to the Washington County Attorney for prosecution. This MFer, sorry, I'm trying to make this more PG rated these days. This guy actually wanted to take me from my family and throw me in prison. Can you believe that? That's the thanks for all the work we do supporting groups like the people up there in Otter Tail County, because that's essentially what this is about. If you ever wonder, why are establishment Republicans attacking us? Because Republican establishment people, they do not care about promoting liberty and getting the conservative agenda. All they care about is a monopoly on center-right politics. And the biggest threat to a monopoly on center-right politics is us. Because we have the voice of the people. We actually care about liberty. And so they can't get away with their facade that they care about it. By the way, if they just embrace liberty, they're going to do better elections anyhow. So anyhow, he files this complaint against us, turns it over to CFB, but this is where the big foul, I think, occurs, and this is where David Hand comes into it. Scroll down. This is an email that was sent out to every Republican in the state of Minnesota, and this is from the party, the Republican Party of Minnesota. I'm going to read this. Yesterday, the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board, and this, by the way, this is July 13th of 2022. That's how long we've been dealing with this. It's almost 2 years. Yesterday, the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board released a finding of probable cause on a complaint filed against the group Action for Liberty. The Minnesota House Republican Campaign Committee highlighted the CFB's findings, saying, by the way, that's the HRCC. We're going to talk about them in the next story. And that was under Kurt Dowd, that crony lobbyist legislator who's now retired. Quote, this morning, the Minnesota Campaign Finance Board released a probable cause determination regarding a complaint filed against the scam grifter organization Action for Liberty. Did you know we're grifters there, Jesse?
Yeah, I guess so, according to them. And yeah, it's funny that, we get leveled all these accusations, Action for Liberty does, and, it's so funny. The Republicans, the RINOs that accuse Action for Liberty, they're guilty of everything they accuse of. They're just portraying their own problems onto Action for Liberty because they're the ones who endorse Democrats when they don't get their way. They're the ones who try to cost the elections. They're the ones who prevented any Republican control in the state House or state Senate in this election. So all they need to do is look in the mirror if they want to see the problems with the party.
Exactly. Great point. All right, I'll continue on. The board found probable cause exists to believe that Action for Liberty committed a felony by making an illegal corporate campaign contribution under 211B.15 by providing list access to failed gubernatorial. Let's see, they're taking a shot at Neil Shah. I hear you laughing there.
Just because it's so stupid that they have to add failed in there.
Oh, of course. Well, that's politics. We do the same thing. To failed gubernatorial candidate Neil Shah. The maximum penalties for violating this section, 5 years in prison, a $20,000 fine, or both, are above the felony penalty threshold under Minnesota law. And then it continues on. The board also found probable cause of action for liberty violated campaign reporting laws under Minnesota statutes 10A20 as well as 10A27. And that was from the Minnesota House Republican Campaign Committee. You know what it's like to have all the Republicans? I mean, essentially, I don't know if any actually said we don't want to be part of that statement. Now, by the way, before you think it's like Walter Hudson's part of this is like this is the cycle before like guys like Walter Hudson and a lot of these new guys got up to the Capitol. But these guys put their name and reputation behind this, basically saying throw this guy in prison. Mm-hmm. They would love that, by the way. They love to throw him in prison. So
that's what establishment does. They want to shut you down, muzzle you, take away your liberties.
Right, take away my liberties.
Establishment rhinos.
And not fighting for anyone's liberties and then take away mine.
Billy22 had a good comment earlier. He said, David Hahn wants us separated, silent, and submissive.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah, that's true. They don't want you guys getting off the couch and doing something about politics. Great comment, Billy22. All right, so let's continue on this email. So this is when David Hann weighs in because this guy's so brilliant. And this to me is really revealing. Additionally, please see the statement on the CFB's findings from Republican Party Minnesota Minnesota Chairman David Hann. By the way, no one is reaching out to David Hann wanting to get his statement on the weaponized campaign finance board against Action for Liberty. Mm-hmm. Now, mind you, this is like in the heart of the 2022 election. Mm-hmm. They always say we should be unified. You are trying to take Action for Liberty off the battlefield against the radical left. Shouldn't we be allied, David Hann, at this time against the radical left? Tim Walz up for re-election, but what do? They are trying to ruin us, let's just be honest, but tangle us up in legal fees and all that kind of stuff. Luckily, our people had our backs.
We got a Rumble rant.
Go ahead.
From GBA, I don't know how to say that. G. Bostad. The truth hurts brings transparency to corrupt local politics. You guys are crucial to party success. Dawson, MAGA Jesse, Gladiator Jake, thanks for speaking truth everywhere it hurts.
Well, that's
even when it hurts.
Well, that's going straight to my head right there. Gladiator Jake. I like that. Can you put that on your little tag on my email?
Yeah.
All right.
I'll get you a jacket that says Gladiator.
Yeah, there you
Jake
go.
the Gladiator.
Yeah.
Stabbed in the back by Dale. He actually has me as movie star on his email. What do you call those little taglines on his email? So when
I think I call you a self-proclaimed movie star.
self-proclaimed, I forgot that part. What is JCH Liberty saying? I love JCH Liberty.
If Shaw is a failed candidate, then so are Murphy and Qualls, right? And definitely Jensen, since he lost on a large scale.
Mm-hmm.
And what if Gazelka? Wasn't he the first one out?
No, actually, Michelle Benson didn't even show up at the convention. She dropped out before then.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Close.
Stanek dropped out
Stanek.
before then,
Oh, I
too.
forgot.
That guy
Yeah,
actually,
I forgot about Stanek, too.
But
so.
he had a legitimate
Wow.
issue. He literally got in a car accident,
Yeah.
so I'll
Yeah.
give him
Right.
a pass on that one. Okay, so this is David Hann. No one's reaching out to David Hann, cares what the guy has to say, right? This is corrupt David Hann. This is out to every Republican in Minnesota. I really appreciate that Rumble rant, by the way, because that's what our show's. You're not going to hear this from anyone else. And you can see we're actually doing something. They don't do this against irrelevant people in politics. They do it against the people that are making a difference. So this is what Chairman Hann says about me and Action for Liberty. We welcome the CFB's findings and applaud the House Republican Campaign Committee for speaking out against Action for Liberty. Action for Liberty has adopted as its mission to defeat Republicans and disrupt MNGOP conventions, parades, and other political activities in an effort to intimidate the public. What the hell's he talking about? What
Yeah.
parades have we interrupted? What conventions have we interrupted? Last I checked, they're the ones interrupting civil order at conventions. And by the way, that's not our mission. The mission of Action for Liberty is to protect liberty for the next generation. That's not their mission, but that's ours. All right, I'll continue. They are not committed to Republican principles. Is that true? Is that true? You know, you've been part of the party for a long time, Dale.
Many years.
Wouldn't you say we're more
Heavily
committed?
since 1995.
There, wouldn't you say we're more committed to the Republican
Yes.
principles than they
Real
are?
Republican principles, not RINO principles.
Right.
Yeah.
Not the Republicans that vote with the Democrats. The
Exactly.
Republicans that want to take all your liberty away. We're not with them.
Yeah,
We're
and I
with
don't
real
think-
Republican principles.
Do we even have anything against the Republican Party platform? I don't even think we do.
No.
Right?
We have another Rumble rant from Dale. He says, "Thank you, or from Dale, from Brad
Dale,
Ganser.
that was impressive.
Thank you, Dale, for everything you do to help support liberty and save Minnesota."
Oh, that was nice. But Brad?
Very welcome.
All right, so I'm going to continue. They are not committed to Republican principles and do not believe the primary work of political activity is to create governing majorities. That's actually a true statement, David Han, and that's the whole crux of this whole thing. That's all they care about is governing majorities. Who cares if the governing majorities just move the Democrat agenda forward, which is what their governing majorities do? Who cares if the governing majorities just grow government and take out more debt and keep taxes high? That's it. What is my college buddy saying?
Yeah, he says,
positions oppose the platform. Oh, no one cares about you, Andy. By the way, if you want a guy that's good on TV and radio, that would be Andy Parrish. That guy's hilarious. I've known him since college. Him and I had a TV, radio show, columns in college. We were in the College Republicans. It was so much fun.
Billy 22 has a comment. I don't think it's the same meeting he's talking about. He says CD7 Executive Board meets tonight to vote on whether to cancel the scheduled SD1 director election and keep the controversially appointed county directors from 2022 for 2 more years.
All right, we are aware of that, Billy, and I just got a phone call about it. So, I don't think we'll be talking about that on the show. It's a little too preliminary, but we are following that, and I appreciate that. You know, I think we've been casting the beacon out in the air, and people know we're the ones to go fight the corruption. Last little part of David Han, the brilliant David Han. We reject their narrow vision and illegal tactics. This is an important step in holding this group accountable, end quote. Republican Party, Minnesota, Chairman David Han. All right, here's what the CFP found after 2 years. Go back to the sheet. Number 1, Action for Liberty was paid fair market value for its use of its email list and phones. I forgot to tell you, the whole matter was all surrounding us supposedly giving a list to the Neil Shaw campaign for free, which wasn't true. And what access they had to get their message out to our people was paid for. And we showed them invoices. That's why their legal staff said there's no violation here. You should dismiss it. And then they come back and they go, did they pay fair market value? And then all of a sudden we're like, wait a second. Fair market value? What are you guys talking about? They had no ability to determine what fair market value is. That's how ridiculous this case was. So they said, was paid fair market value for its use of its email list and phone list. As a result, no in-kind contribution was made by Action for Liberty consisting of the value of those lists. Let me just bring up one other comment. While we did this, we noticed, the Democrats actually sell their lists, and it's on public forums. And so we looked at what they charged their candidates, and it was far less than what we did. So it's like, well, the Democrats charge less, and then we're like, what did the Republicans do? You know what we found out? David Han gives the list to candidates in Minnesota for free. They don't even charge them for the list. Now, they actually are this like super special corporation that can actually give support to candidates. But here's the deal. They'll still have to be marked as in-kind contributions on the reports, and they don't do that. Like, David Han's actually in a massive violation, and basically every candidate, unfortunately, is violating the state law. Now, I don't plan on filing that against them, but they are violating campaign finance law. It's so interesting to see the things they allege us of, we're not doing, but they're actually guilty of. All right, number 2, conclusion of law. Action for Liberty and Dr. Neil Shaw for Governor Committee did not violate Minnesota Statute Section 211B. And number 3, Action for Liberty and the Shaw Committee did not violate the reporting requirements within Minnesota statutes. Number 4 and 5, they think that Neil Shaw just needs to amend his reports and file a new report. And I think if you go down to the order, it says within 30 days, Neil Shaw has to do that. That's it.
What does he have to switch, thoh?
I don't know. I think just line items or something like that. And that's not us. That and Neil, I doubt Neil was breaking any law or anything like that. There's not even a fine on that. 2 years, and you guys paid for it. That's your tax money. You paid for this bullshit campaign finance thing, and David Han said, throw him in jail. He's guilty. Throw him in jail. Take him away from his family. We're serving this country by putting Jake in jail and not raising his boys, 3 boys at home, by the way. They came to my house multiple times with subpoenas. That's interesting stuff. It's really fun to go through this kind of stuff, isn't it, Dale? Oh, my God. All the stories we could tell you. One of the most interesting ones was in 2021 when the sergeant at arms in the Minnesota House called me and said, you guys, give me a call back, basically. They were upset. And he was told by the Speaker of the House, Melissa Hortman, to call us because we were door knocking, petitioning legislators up in the Iron Range to stop voting to protect emergency powers by Governor Walz. They used the sergeant at arms to call us. Like ridiculous. That's actually on a YouTube page. Go ahead.
AlleyCat62, Rumble Rant, $20 says keep fighting back.
You darn right we'll keep fighting back, AlleyCat62. I'm so motivated by these things. Okay, let's get into this story. By the way, truthhurtsnews.com. Corrupt David Hand. I'll tell you what. Wrong about everything. Fake news. All right, let's go to this other story on truthhurtsnews.com. This one we got to explain. It's going to take us a while here, right, Jesse? You're not going to hear this from anyone else. By the way, Alpha News hasn't reported on Otter Tail County yet. So you're not going to hear it from them. I don't know what's up with them. Why not tell people about the corruption inside the Republican Party? Mm-hmm. That's the only other. Well, I don't listen to the morning radio. Maybe they've talked about it on Twin Cities News Talk. There's not a lot of conservative media in the state, right? The left owns all the other media. So you got to get this stuff out. I hope more people are getting out. I'm sure it's getting out organically in social media circles. By the way, if you want to join us on Locals, we're starting to get more active on Locals, the new social media channel, and you can click on the link on the Rumble page, or you can go to Truth Hurts News, and there's a link to our Locals page. Sign up for an account and follow us on Locals. That's where you're going to get the uncensored version. We'll be off. Actually, we're not even on Facebook. Yeah, we're not even on Facebook, so follow us on there. All right, Jesse, let's talk about this. So there's a convention. Pull up the story here real quick, Dawson. This illegitimate convention where there's a fake endorsement for Representative John Kosnick. Now, John Kosnick, this guy is a RINO, of course. I know he doesn't like us. He's got a challenger. Rick Stidger's the name, right? And apparently it's pretty close match, right? He's got a real legit chance of losing the endorsement amongst Republican delegates. And so there's political boundaries here that come into play. How do I explain this thing? I know there's a lot of people that understand the political process here in Minnesota, but it's local political parties organized in something called BPOUs, all right? I can hear myself saying this. I'm going, oh my God, Jake, you're such a nerd. Basic political organization units, okay? So that's just like, usually they're House or Senate districts, and then out in greater Minnesota, they're counties. So this is like right on the edge of greater Minnesota. It's Scott County and Senate District 57. So two different BPOUs organized next to each other that have a joint House district in it. And that's 57A. John Kosnick's the sitting legislator. Okay. So usually what happens when, you have two BPOUs, they got to come together and agree when we're going to have an endorsing convention because they know the list of delegates selected on caucus night to call the convention. So in the case of 57A, Senate District 57 wants to have a convention on March 9th, and Scott County doesn't want to do that. I could give you my reasons why I think that's the case, but that's just the matter of the fact they couldn't agree on it. So what happens by the Minnesota Constitution, the Minnesota GOP Constitution, and we put it in this article, it gets kicked up to the congressional level, which is CD2. And so CD2 then has the ability to issue the call for an endorsing convention and appoint the convener. Now, we just showed you the people on State Executive Committee for the GOP. That gentleman's Joe Ditto. Joe Ditto convened the state exec meeting in CD2 on February 25th. They voted to select a date of March 16th for a convention. And then they, on caucus night, gave the call, which is sheets of paper, to invite people to the convention, the endorsing convention, on March 16th. Okay? Joe Ditto did everything right. Is that your read on this thing, Jesse? You've been looking into the story.
Right. No, I've been doing some digging too, and you have it laid out correctly that it's up to the congressional district executive committee to issue the call if an endorsing convention is going to take place where two BPOUs have to both be invited. It sounds like Joe Ditto did exactly that. I can't find any flaw in what he was doing. It seems as if he was trying to be a neutral arbiter. It seems like he was trying to bring these two BPOUs together and find something that is reasonable for both of them. They would only be pulling this kind of thing because the delegate count must be close. John Kosnick, if he thought that it was a shoe-in, he had no worries, there was nothing to worry about, they wouldn't be pulling this kind of stunt. They're only pulling a move like this because they're worried. They felt the need to propose a fake endorsing convention as opposed to the legitimate one, which is happening this Saturday.
All right, so here's the stunt. Okay, we didn't really get to the stunt. He calls a convention for March 16th. The members of Senate District 57, I don't even think people know exactly who did it. I think that's kind of anonymous too. They called their own convention. They alerted Joe that they were doing this, but they invoke a rule number 4, which says in the event that a majority of the precinct chairs from a legislative district which crosses BPOU or congressional district lines should sign a petition requesting an endorsing convention and specifying the convener, the chair of the congressional district, on behalf of the respective executive committee, which has jurisdiction as specified in the previous sections, shall issue the call for such a convention. So it seems like that's what they're trying to do. Is now, did they have the majority of precinct chairs? I doubt it, because this call was made on caucus night, and guess what? The precinct chairs get elected on caucus night. So how the heck how can they follow that rule? And the secondly to that, the convention had already been called at that point.
Yeah.
So what do they think? It nullifies the previous call of a convention that has already been handed out to people? So my opinion is they're either trying to muddy up the process to save John Kosnick's butt, or they were trying to just stack the deck in favor it. But here's why this is so important. If you have 2 different districts, and there's 4 precincts in Scott County and 8 precincts in Senate District 57 that come together and make the endorsement for the Republican, how is SD 57 calling a convention if they don't know who the delegates are in these 4 precincts? Am I making sense of this?
Yep.
So that's the whole reason the CD2 chair has got to be the one to call it, because he knows the delegates in both. And Joe Diddle has never made a call for a March 9th convention. He made a call for the March 16th. So here's where it comes to play. I hope that wasn't too technical. Did we lose our audience? We lost half the audience. All right. Just kidding. This is where it comes into play. Go back there. There's actually a law at stake here. And I think, and you could read this article, it gets a little technical, but it's pretty obvious that they did not have a legitimate endorsing convention on last Saturday. Minnesota Statute 211B02 states a person or candidates may not knowingly make directly or indirectly a false claim stating or implying that a candidate or ballot question has the support or endorsement of a major political party. We posted right there. So now scroll down here, Dawson. Sorry, I was a little bit lower on that. That's where the law is. Here is Kosnick talking about his endorsement. Here's the HRCC, House Republican Campaign Committee, as I read in David Hand's letter, saying that we are guilty of a felony, saying, hey, congratulations, Representative John Kosnick, on their endorsements today. These guys were actually alerted at the convention by the chair of Scott County, saying this is an illegitimate convention and you guys are violating state law by telling people about this. Now, where this all comes into play.
Now this is the HRCC supporting an unendorsed
Correct.
candidate. I wanted to just highlight, like you were saying, that how do we know for sure that a majority of these newly elected precinct delegates of the precinct chairs were actually supporting and signing on board to this? Because if I'm understanding this correctly, Scott County wasn't given this form, so that means that none of the Scott County precincts could be counted in this. That would mean that pretty much every single delegate chair within precinct chair within Senate District 57 would have signed on to this. That is a hard thing to believe. I don't think that every single one of them was signing on to this thing, especially if they're a new person or just showing up to the caucus and they get told that, you got to sign on to this resolution to stick it to the CD2 executive committee. It doesn't make sense to me. I'd like to see that list, because I really do not believe that these precinct chairs were all signing on board. It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It's too ridiculous for it to be true.
Okay, and why does this matter? Delegates go to a convention and candidates perform and compete to get 60% support, which gives them the party endorsement. In Minnesota, the party's endorsement for Republicans usually is binding. They win the primary in August. And so if they muddy up this scenario, and this is what I would allude as the Kosnick people are, so that they can't actually get an endorsement out of this district, and therefore it just gets down the primary. That's what I'm assuming. I don't know the intricacies, the inner workings of it, but we've seen this enough times where we know their tricks. Here's the story you're also not going to get from anywhere else. So members of the state executive meeting called for a special meeting, an emergency meeting. I think they didn't call for tonight. They called for another night. David Hand basically says we're going to have an emergency meeting of the state exec tonight, and we're going to discuss House District 57A first. So there you go. You guys reaching out to all these state exec members, and David Hand saying, I know, but we're just going to listen to HD 57. Here's why he's doing it. Okay, we're going to give you a little secret, give you a little reveal behind the curtains. He's just running out the time. He doesn't want to talk about Otter Tail County. He doesn't want these guys to take what he decided already unilaterally and overturn it, especially when the evidence is against him. So what he wants to do at 8:15, which is a normal time for meetings to start, right? 8:15, he's going to have a meeting, and they're going to try to just run the timeout. It's going to get midnight. Oh, we can't go any longer. And we didn't even finish our discussion on House District 57A, which, by the way, is pretty clear cut. That was not a legitimate endorsing convention. So this is a shenanigan. David Hand's polling tonight. And hopefully these estate exec members who you guys have been contacting, and we've got word that they're getting 400, 500 emails today, which is awesome. Hopefully they all fight back against it because that's bullshit. But that's exactly what they're doing. This is the thing about the Truth Hurts show is we're not going to hold back. We're not pulling punches here. We're going to tell you stuff. And because we're operatives, political operatives, we know this stuff. We know the stuff behind the scenes that's going on. Let's go back to the comment section.
Comments. JCH Liberty says, well, surely if the call was made by a majority of precinct chairs, then the call would say so, right?
No, so I haven't seen this call that they made.
Natitude's got a great comment towards the bottom there too, kind of on this.
This one, right?
The call handed
out at caucus was before the petition handed to CD2 chair. As such, is not valid as it still needs to be called by CD2 chair.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, it doesn't matter if someone else puts out a call. I mean, it literally says in the rule it's got to come from the CD2 chair. Oh God, we got Bill Dingsman.
But I think the point of that comment too is that the fake call was sent out before they even petitioned it. You know, so they put out this fake call. They already had the idea before they were putting this petition together. So it shows that it was void before and that it wasn't applicable. So that's a great comment, though. I just wanted to highlight that one.
Oh, big time. We better read Bill Dingsman because this surrogate always reaches out and complains how we never read his comments.
I know. He says, Han is jealous of Kosnick, I'll say, and HRCC.
Now you're going to make his surrogate very mad you didn't read that.
I know, but guess what? I'm reading. And he's trying to get his own 211B complaint. Sorry, Bill. You have to come on the show and say it yourself if you want to.
Yeah, there you go, Bill. Why don't you come on the show? All right, well, so I don't know where this thing goes. By the way, it's a moot point if John Kosnick wins the endorsement this Saturday. I guess it's a moot point, right? I'm thinking they're not pulling the shenanigan unless they fear Rick Stidger's winning. And now, imagine Rick Stidger wins on Saturday. I mean, that's the binding endorsement. That's what they got to go with. But they're going to try. So my thinking is, and I think it's probably going to be the advice of Rondell LeBeau, the attorney for the MNGOP, who literally spent party resources to come attack us, allegedly. I don't know. I guess we don't know, but I assume he got paid for it. And he's going to probably advise them to just follow the convention that was illegitimately called. There's two things coming out tonight. Now, I think this should be live streamed, to be honest with you. Right? We'll sign up for that job. Can we do this? We would sign up for live streaming the state. Okay, there we go. Big guy says yes. Let us know. We'll send you the feed. Send the cameraman down there, right? All right.
Sorry, did I hear cameramen? Or was that one?
Camera person.
Yeah.
No, that wasn't the joke. He's saying you need to hire another cameraman.
Or pay me double. I don't care. Whichever works.
Oh, there you go. Oh, so you could do. Would you do double as good?
I will find a way to do double as good.
AI is an amazing thing, isn't it? That's what he's gonna do. He's gonna have like some robot run it.
Oh, that'd be.
You were in robotics in high school, weren't you?
Yeah. I know my way around a robot.
And no one's shocked by that, by the way.
Shouldn't
by the way, Dawson once told Dale and me, he's like, "Yeah, I always wanted to join the CIA," which is exactly what people say that join the CIA. They say I wanted to. All right. What do we got here in attitude?
Reading, he says, Joel Fields, SD57 chair, never contacted Jeff H. from Scott County to work together. Then he says, CD2 chair made the call. Petition was after the call that was already made.
Great point. I don't know who the hell Natitude 1 is, but that person's in the know.
Yeah.
Don't you love this about our audience? Is like, we get people who know, who are probably involved with some of this stuff. It's cool. And the establishment watches after the fact. All right, poll numbers. Jesse, should we go through poll numbers?
Yeah, we can go into them.
All right, here we go. So Donald Trump is actually doing pretty well in Minnesota. KSTP released a new poll. Why don't you pull this up, Dawson? This is the article. You got to scroll to the bottom and they show the crosstabs. So this is a poll by Survey USA. I got to zoom in on my computer. So they ask in question 3, if the November election for president were today and you were filling out your ballot right now, who would you vote for? And this is a poll of, let's see, 1,600 and some likely voters. So it's a decent sample size. So if that's the question, 38% of Minnesota voters say Donald Trump, 42% say Joe Biden, 9% say other, 11% say undecided. There's a plus and minus 3-point margin of error. So in other words, Trump's already in the margin of error. The bigger thing is the undecideds are 11%. So who do you think they're going to break for? Sleepy Joe Biden or the guy that's been outpointing him on the economy and outpointing him on the border, right? I mean, if you just look at the issues that are leading right now, economy and the border, and Trump is like leading huge on those issues, that's good news in a poll. Here's the thing that was, wow, shocking to me, although we've seen many polls on this. When you break down the age demographics, 18 to 34-year-olds, 40% say Donald Trump, 37% say Joe Biden.
The youth is moving. I'm telling you,
that's
it
cool.
was COVID. COVID was a big reason. A lot of the kids, when the schools got shut down, when the sports were out, when the gyms were closed, that was a big thing for them. And I think that a lot of young people are naturally rebellious. They want to fight the system, and they see that the Democrats are the system. The Republicans are the ones who want to fight for freedom, or some Republicans are the ones who want to fight for freedom. And then there's the John Kosniks of the world who are trying to do everything to hinder that. But I think that this shows a lot of hope for the young people of our country because, a lot of people say, this new generation is terrible. But a lot of them are, like I said, they're anti-authoritarian. They want to push against the system. A lot of them misunderstood it before. They used to think that Trump was the man, that Trump was the system. Really, they're starting to see, hold on, no, it's us against the system. Trump is in the way. So I think that Trump has definitely done his part. I just saw, another video where some guy says, I voted for Andrew Yang last time. I realized I made a mistake. I'm with Trump now. And so I think there's a lot of young people. We're seeing that in the black community. We're seeing it even in some Arabs. Some of them are starting to wake up to what the Democrats are really about.
Arabs or Muslims in general?
Right, both, But
I say, there's not a big Arab population in states like Minnesota.
Yeah, I mean,
you sound like that lady that was against John McCain.
Yeah,
Barack
Obama's an Arab. Yeah, exactly. But
no, ma'am, he's a decent fella.
Yeah,
we just disagree on things, but he's a decent family man.
Yeah.
There you go, John McCain. Gee, why did you get blown out in that election?
But yeah, and then I'm also seeing on looks like page 5 here, Dawson. So go ahead and scroll down.
Can you imagine a lady saying that to Donald Trump? He'd be like, a lot of people tell me.
Yeah.
A lot of people say.
Yep.
I'm not saying, but he is an Arab.
Yep. And that first question there, if the November election for president was today, if you were filling out your ballot, who would you vote for? Trump at 38%, Biden at 42%, other at 9%, undecided at 11%. So we are just 4 points away from defeating Joe Biden in the state of Minnesota. That would give Minnesota's 10 electoral votes to Donald Trump. I believe that this is 100% possible. David Hand's not going to do anything about it. The establishment Republicans aren't going to do anything about it. It's going to take the grassroots to really step up for Trump. We need to outperform the steal. Minnesota can be one. They don't want you to know about that. The establishment, the RINOs, the media, they all want to, push things off and just make us think that there's nothing we can do about it. Minnesota's a blue state. I'm saying to hell with that. I think that we can win Minnesota, especially among the Iron Range. A lot of people are flipping. And when we see all the young people, the Arabs, all the people who are pushing against Joe Biden for Palestine, I think that, I think that we got a real shot at winning this thing. Joe Biden's got dementia. He looked terrible in the State of the Union address. Donald Trump is the man of the hour. He wiped out an entire new slew of Republican primary candidates. He had to prove himself yet again for the third time. And here he is still standing, and he's winning more and more support every single day. So I'm feeling very, very good about our odds in Minnesota.
All right, the poll also asks if a November election for U.S. Senate were today, and these were the candidates on the ballot, who would you vote for? By the way, I do always got to push back when they say, who would you vote for? And RFK is going to be on the ballot in Minnesota, right? And
well, that isn't confirmed yet.
Confirmed?
Well, no third party is confirmed to be on the ballot except for maybe
Well,
technically
fair,
the
but
LMN,
I think we can deduce
because
they are.
they can't
Yeah.
even start the petitioning process yet. But
But-
will RFK Jr. be on the ballot? Yes.
But they don't even put those names down, and it'd be real interesting to see that. So.
Right. I mean, that's the thing. The Jill Steins of the world, the Cornel West of the world. There's a bunch of third parties. There's going to be a libertarian on the ballot. Hopefully, it's not RFK. They're still figuring that whole situation out.
Okay, so of
yeah.
the 1,600 likely November voters, Amy Klobuchar 49%, Joe Frazier 33%. Now that is kind of troubling for Klobuchar, who usually would be over 50%.
Yeah.
There's actually 14% that say undecided and 5% that say other. So that would be 40 if Joe Frazier won all of the undecideds. That would still put him only at 37%, 47%, just under Klobuchar, but within the 3 points. I don't think she's likely to lose at this point. And most I could tell, this Joe Frazier guy's kind of a milquetoast candidate, which I'm not going to hate on
I'm
the guy. It's
disappointed
like-
in men. I mean, I'm looking at this number. 43% of men would vote for Amy Klobuchar. I mean, come on.
Have they seen her? Have they gotten a picture of her?
I don't know what's going on with that because, you think that, I don't get the appeal of Amy Klobuchar. She's not exactly
Makes
like
sense.
a friendly person. She doesn't have a great stage presence. She doesn't have a great speaking voice. She's not particularly ideologically beneficial for Minnesota. She's just another run-of-the-mill moderate, or not even a moderate.
She's not a moderate,
She
but she
pretends to be a
pretends, yeah.
moderate. She says she is, but she votes for every single thing that the Democrats tell her to. So I don't understand the appeal. I think that there's a lot of people who, especially if the George Floyd stuff got hyped up again, I think a lot of the left would abandon her. So there's a lot of room to play even in the U.S. Senate race. But again, the establishment, the media, they don't want you to know that. And they'll never tell you that because if you look at past results, you might say Amy Klobuchar looks like she's in good shape. But the problem is that, the tides have turned. There's a whole new wave in Minnesota. People are sick of the elections feeling like they're stolen. I know some people are going to sit out the election. I don't think that's ever an option. I think everybody needs to get out and vote for Trump. Get every single person you know to vote for Trump and, run it down the ticket. This is our chance to win.
Let's go to the comment section here, Bridget.
Okay. We have people that are on opposite sides. Brad says polls are meaningless. Find better content. Let's
Yeah,
see.
fair enough.
Truth Seeker agrees. He says polls are not believable. AlleyCat62 says the young people are finding out they cannot buy a new home. Brad goes on to say, I believe Jesse is now taking part in the newly legalized marijuana trade. Trump is not going to win Minnesota.
Yeah, right.
Dave's right.
We'll see.
Yeah, Dave's right says we will win Minnesota. Razzle Dazzle says maybe Wisconsin is a possible swing state, not Minnesota. Truth Seeker says if we have fair elections.
Yeah, exactly. That's the biggest thing. Everybody needs to sign up, be election judges, be poll challengers, because if the election's not stolen, we're going to win. But that's the thing. We have to be out there. We have to be fighting, and you have to be exposing the Democrat corruption and fraud. So keep an eye on the ballot boxes that are, the absentee ballot boxes that are going to be set up. If you live in an area where you can set up a camera right in front of it, do so, because we want to be able to find out when people are ballot harvesting and dropping off 100 ballots at a time. Those are the kind of things that we need to be able to expose. I get the comments and the what some people are saying that Minnesota's not winnable. We haven't won since, what was it, Richard Nixon? But that's the thing. It can be done. It can be done. We almost won in 2016, and Joe Biden right now, it's arguable. Is he a worse candidate than Hillary was in 2016? Maybe.
Yes.
He's got dementia, so I would think that who is voting for this guy anymore? I'd figure that we got a real shot at this thing, and it's only the negativity that I'm seeing in some of the comments here that is going to prevent it. We are able to do this. It's all up to we the people. So if you start telling yourself that we've got no chance, then guess what? We've got no chance. But if we tell ourselves that we can win this thing, we can win.
Yeah, my buddy Andy says Vermin is still the only candidate who pledges to fund time travel research and personally go back in time to kill baby Hitler. And
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the platform to get on.
You know what's funny? In 2016, Jeb Bush had said, hell yeah, I'd kill baby Hitler. But Vermin Supreme said, he said he would do it. I'm saying I'm going to. So Vermin Supreme is the only one who promises to do all that, give everyone a free pony. I'm a fan of Vermin
Mandatory
Supreme.
toothbrushing laws.
Mandatory toothbrushing
Is
laws.
that one of the things
Oh,
for
yeah.
real?
Yep.
Yeah, which is important.
Gosh.
That
Oh,
is
yeah.
a platform. I'm usually a pro-liberty guy, but now when it comes to brushing your teeth,
I could get on that.
any parent's got to be pro-brushing teeth, right?
I'd
We're
hope so.
tyrannical on brushing teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Brad
It's not
says
about
Vermin
the
has his
secret
vote.
dental police. This
Yeah.
is just for our own good.
Yeah. What were you saying?
Brad just said Vermin has his vote.
There we go.
Someone's got to take on big dental.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's an oral
Oh,
and moral decay.
What is the Freedom Junkie
Freedom
saying
Junkie
there?
says Supreme Court is hearing Carrie Lake and Mark Finchman case on the machines March 15th.
Oh, interesting.
That is awesome.
Good. There you
What are
go.
they referring to? when they
Yeah,
say
I'd like to know,
machines?
Freedom Junkie, are you saying that the Arizona Supreme Court, or are you saying the U.S. Supreme Court? I mean, I'll do some digging into that myself because I'm very interested in hearing that because the Carrie Lake election was 100% stolen when all of those ballot machines went down in Maricopa County the day of the election, when all of the Republicans are showing up to vote, when a lot of the Republicans are leaving the line. I know for sure, you look at the governor race, the Secretary of State's race, the Attorney General race. I think all three of those elections were stolen. So,
Yeah, but
if
they
there
had
is
a
going to be...
Secretary of State, a good Secretary of State that had no conflict of interest overseeing the elections.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it was only what's her name again? Katie
Hobbs.
Katie Hobbs. Yeah, Katie Hobbs overseeing the entire election that she's running in for governor. I mean, give me a break. I think that we need a new law that says the Secretary of State is only able to serve one consecutive term.
Right.
So that they can run again in the future. But you cannot adjudicate an election that you are participating in. You should not be able to keep your name on the ballot if you are the Secretary of State in charge of that election. And if they're a great Secretary of State, you can come back in 4 years. But that's why I think Steve Simon, he should not have been able to adjudicate the 2022 election because he was a candidate on the ballot. And that should be the standard nationwide. We don't need secretaries of state running for re-election in
Right.
elections they are in charge of. Same thing with county clerks and any other election.
But that's already a
adjudicator.
rule with like election judges. You can't be an election judge if you're on the ballot or like
Yeah.
relatives on the ballot.
Right,
Because
exactly.
there's a conflict of interest. And yet the overall election judge is on the ballot. Like,
Right.
what?
Yeah.
In this case, running for governor in Arizona. It seems like a massive conflict of interest.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
like,
well, I'll be
I'm really
looking
gonna look
into
into
that.
that fraud, even though I won this election.
And that corruption is making its way to Minnesota.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, Jesse, I think you're spot on what's happening here in Minnesota, and Trump has an opportunity to win. The last two election cycles, we believed the media who were telling us there's a red wave, there's a red wave. It's going to be, the Republicans are going to take it all. You don't have to bother to come in and vote because there's going
Right.
to be a red wave. And what did a lot of Republicans do?
They stayed
They
home.
sat home, sitting on their couch, watching TV, watching the returns. So I think we have the votes for Trump here in Minnesota. But we have to gather our friends, we have to gather our family, and we have to show up and vote.
Yep. You don't take any excuses from your friends for why they're saying they don't want to vote. They might say, my vote might not count. Well, guess what? The only way to find out is by voting. That's the only way that we can change this thing. We might think that the elections are completely stolen. Well, then, let's just give up then, right? Why even fight if that's the case? But it's obvious that we can outperform the steal. And I agree with you, Dale. I think that we have the votes in Minnesota, and especially with all of the falling support that is, that Joe Biden is declining in all these different areas of support. We have the votes, and Trump hasn't lost those people, so we still have the same number, and Biden is continuing to go down. But you're right. Don't take any excuses from anybody if they're telling you why they can't vote, unless it's a Biden voter. Go ahead and let them make as many excuses in the world for why not to vote then.
The problem I see it, Dale, is it's not necessarily just incumbent on us to get them to vote. It's who's on the ballot. And, in 2022, how much am I motivated to go help Scott Jensen, right? Like, I don't believe this guy's going to be some guy that's advancing liberty, right? Donald Trump represents energy. And that's the thing that I think so many of the haters are missing. It's like, this guy inspires people and new people to come vote. He's winning amongst the youth, by the way. That's pretty crazy. And so the top of ticket really matters. In fact, despite how corrupt and incompetent David Hand is, and we talk about that often on the show, Minnesota might still go Republican in this election in the House because the top of ticket brings new people out. They're all going to say, oh, it was our great strategy and all that stuff. But it's like, no, you probably won because Donald Trump brought the votes out. 2016, Hillary did win Minnesota, but it was not by a lot. The Republicans won the Senate and the House. It wasn't their great strategy. By the way, David Hand was in charge of the 2016 Senate election, and he lost his own seat.
Yeah.
So he's so brilliant, he won the Senate, but he lost his own seat. No, they came out, and people were supporting Donald Trump, and they went down the ballot and supported Republicans. And so the top of the ballot's what inspires and energizes people. And so there's another argument for Donald Trump right there, is the guy actually moves the needle. And that's actually the problem. This is why I think, and this isn't going to be captured in the polls, and I appreciate what you guys are saying, but what's happening is Biden supporters, the likely Biden supporters will stay home. They are not energized on Joe Biden. That is not an energetic ticket.
Well, they're sure not showing up to his rallies, are they?
They're not showing up to his rallies.
Well, a dozen of them are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
and that's not because of COVID circles, right? Because that was the thing. Remember they used to have those circles and social distancing? So there's no energy there. Let's finish out with some comments here.
M. Starry says, my grandchildren will vote for the first time this year if they know what's good for them.
Margaret's too young to have grandchildren, but okay, I guess I'll believe you in your comments.
Let's see. Truth Seeker says, Mike Lindell will be on the Supreme Court steps presenting the info tomorrow. And then someone provided the link above. Brad's, what next? Nationalize the dental industry. Talk
Yes,
about the
Brad,
dental.
we have to. Mandatory toothbrushing laws.
Napkin 8 says, Trump or death. There, I said it.
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but kind of like living.
And Razzle Dazzle says, I appreciate the enthusiasm, Jesse.
Thank you.
A lot of people
Yep,
appreciate
give me
you,
Trump or
Jesse.
give me death. I'm with Napkin 8 on that one.
Not George Santos.
No, I can let George Santos go.
We appreciate all you guys in the comment section. Go to truthhurtsnews.com. You can read more about this. Also, actionforliberty.com/OTC. You're on the board of Action for Liberty. Mort's doing a pretty damn good job.
He is.
Yeah, and I appreciate
Congratulations to
him
Mort.
and leading this effort. This is awesome. He's gonna be up in Otter Tail County soon. I don't know if I should be revealing this, so he'll be up in Otter Tail County soon. We also appreciate the sponsors today: Alpine Cabinetry, East St. Cloud, and Warren Wessel of Warren Wessel Realty. I almost got the phone number memorized: 612-419-7453. When you're buying or selling a home, give someone who thinks like you your business and who's good at real estate. Buying, selling a home, Warren Wessel, 612-419-7453. Join us on Locals. truthhurts.locals.com is how you find our thing. I think they can go to the Rumble page and there's a link. You can follow us. There is a $10 a month paid subscription. Then you get like exclusive content and you get a post on the wall, but you can join for free as well too. I mean, I don't want to not have you join us because it helps fund the show, but I just want you to join us. So go check out Locals. It's the social media company that we're invested in. We're also on Twitter at Jay Duesenberg is the handle. And we'll be back on Thursday. Who knows what the hell we'll be talking about on Thursday. Hopefully good news about what happened tonight at the state exec meeting. So anyhow, thank you guys for tuning in, and we'll see you on Thursday.